this film and this filmmaker is particularly meaningful to me. I have known Heidi Ewing for probably like 15 years or so. Heidi Ewing is a very accomplished documentary filmmaker. At the Woodstock Film Festival, we have shown many of your films. And Heidi and her partner, Rachel Grady. Rachel and Heidi together of Locky Films have brought us so many incredible documentary films, and also they've forayed into television and series. This is Heidi's first feature narrative. And without giving too much away, Heidi, how did the whole thing happen? Where did the turn from documentary to narrative happen for you with this particular story?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for inviting me and for inviting this film. I also feel emotional about being here again with the film after all these years. And I know it was a Herculean feat for you to pull the festival off this year. I ran into you in March and you were looking for drive-ins at the early part of the pandemic because you knew that you'd be needing to do something like this. So I want to thank you, and I think Meira needs some honks from everybody, don't you think?
All right.
That's so fun. I love doing that. I would like to say that, I think it's important that every story be told in its best form. So sometimes you read an article and you think it might be a film and you realize it should be a podcast. Or sometimes you hear a story and you think, oh, it should be a film, and you said, no, it should be a graphic novel. And so I think it's very important to know what treatment a story needs. And as a documentary filmmaker and making films with Rachel as well, there's a special metric. Why is this a documentary? Is it visual? Is there an unknown factor? Will something occur in the course of the film that's unexpected? That's, as an artist, you have to be honest and know what a movie needs. When I first heard this story, which is a true story, of course my first thought is, it should be a documentary.
Yeah.
And then as one goes on and one learns more, I realized this is more of a film of an epic nature. It takes place over many years, and it's pretty layered, and it's also a film about memory and about a story that was told to me that is being remembered by others. And so, in my opinion, I felt that the film merited a different treatment, not a better treatment, not a worse treatment. I felt it needed to be in the narrative form, where you have different tools of storytelling, and I thought it was the best way to bring this emotional, sort of searing story to audiences. And so it was a scary decision because I had never done it, and I'd never written a screenplay or worked with actors, and so the instinct was to not do it at all. But the story I found so touching that I took the risk and the leap and decided to learn how to do it. And so that's really the nature of it. It was either don't tell the story or do it in a narrative fashion, and so that was the decision I made.
Well, just so you know, I carry you with me. Just won the Woodstock Film Festival Emerging Director Award. So she must have done something right.
I've been making films for 20 years and I'm still emerging. Wow, that's amazing. No,
That's actually a very good thing.
it's a wonderful thing, and it's, you know what? I'm a beginner again with this type of craft, and I was extremely touched and flattered. So thank you very much for that.
Because you're such an accomplished documentary filmmaker, and this is the first time that you work with actors on location, with story, with a scripted story. If there's one particular thing that you would take from that experience that perhaps was a teachable moment or inspirational moment or something that is just so different and unique to that particular work that you've done in this film, what might that be?
I think that it's very easy to become intimidated and think that you're working with a completely different form. And a lot of people, I think the instinct is to abandon what we know as documentary filmmakers and try to suddenly have static lockdown shots and the big master and then this and then that, and then you can lose the spontaneity that you have as a documentary filmmaker very easily.
Yeah.
Everything is scheduled. You can, you're on the clock. You've got to finish this scene in 20 minutes. It's not loose. So you have to defiantly hang on to the looseness.
Yeah.
You have to, if you want it to feel voyeuristic, then don't rehearse the actors. Then don't allow the camera person to do any blocking. Find the shot as you film it. Don't let the camera anticipate so much. And you can bring a lot from documentary filmmaking. Also, we know a lot about how people really talk. People don't answer questions when asked in a conversation. So I think documentary filmmakers are uniquely gifted possibly in writing screenplays because we know when dialogue doesn't sound real because all we do is listen and talk to people all day long. So I think the thing I learned was don't abandon all that you know as a storyteller. It's not, it's probably harder to make documentaries, actually. So I think it's about confidence and saying, I can bring a lot, and I want to bring my aesthetic, and I want to bring my looseness to my narrative work. And I think the minute you lose that, you might lose your way completely. And so I kind of became defiant about using what I knew and applying it, and also when I didn't know something, asking. Learning how to direct actors, talking to the gaffer, asking questions. I don't know that term, and just be honest, like, I know a lot, I don't know this, but I do know this, and I have an aesthetic. And it was really like finding that balance between what's new and what you bring with you all those years. I would like to bring some very special guests up to the stage, the real Ivan and the real Gerardo.
Well, first of all, congratulations, all of you, on such a beautiful film. Can you tell me a little bit about how you all met and how this project came together?
Okay, we met in a bar. Honk if you like bars. We met in 2005, maybe earlier. No, 2003.
Yeah, 2003.
There was a local bar called Chicala that our friend owned, and they were working at Bread, no?
Yeah.
And I was there having a drink after work, and they came in one night, and Gerardo was very, very naughty and I knew he was trouble. Ivan was more introverted, but an amazing dancer. And we became friends. And over many, many years, Ivan and Gerardo eventually told me their story in 2012 about their life in Mexico and all their adventures and dreams and hopes and memories, and that inspired the film.
When you first were talking about the project, were you gentlemen on board immediately, or did it take a little while to rope you into it?
Was immediately, like, since the first time when she talked to us about to make this film, we said yes. She's an amazing filmmaker, so we were very grateful and very sure, if we wanna do this film, she wants the best to do it.
So it seemed to be a little bit of a mix of documentary, a moment, and narrative. How much of the material with you gentlemen in real life was captured in reality, and how much of it was performed?
Nothing with Ivan and Gerardo here was scripted. This was all cinema verite, observational documentary footage that was shot between 2012 and 2016. And I sort of built the movie, I wrote the movie around the material I'd already shot. So it did start with a documentary concept, and then I began writing the script, but I continued to shoot Ivan and Gerardo in important moments in their lives as they opened restaurants, as Ivan struggled with the death of his father, as, highs and lows of their lives, they allowed me to come and be a fly on the wall. And so the scripted portions of the movie are sort of built towards the material you see in the sort of the last third of the film.
I'd like to hear a little bit about the casting process as well. Were you gentlemen involved in that conversation, or was
Si
it...
tenías algo que ver con el casting.
No, actually, we didn't know anything about the cast. I think we met them like
The
the last month when she shot it.
Yeah, when they came to New York.
Yeah, they came to New York and we met them, and I was very surprised because the character doing myself, he was amazing, and I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling like I'm there when I'm not there. Was the actor, right? Yeah, I love them. They are very professional, and they put all their hair in the project, in the movie, and I think they did with a lot of love.
See.
With my son, that was for me very special because, I mean, everybody knows I didn't saw my son for a very long time. So when she did all the scenes, the part when my son was like 6 years old, and then 20, I was very, very exciting, sad at the same time. Um, and I was very, very, very surprised for me to see that character in the movie, and my dad, my best friends, Sandra, and all the people, the cast in the movie.
No, we were very, very happy. All the characters, all the actors, like they are like acting like the real people. Like when we told to Heidi the story like long time ago, was like hours and hours of conversation, and I think she get the soul of each character in the movie. Totally, like we are very happy. We agree because the movie is very, very real.
The location work in this film.
Yes.
Just beautiful vistas, beautiful locations. I imagine that was. How long did it take to define secure locations? How long did the entire process take to do all this?
Well, what I learned making my first narrative is that you think you have a location in advance, and you build a scene, and you do a shot list around a location that you've never seen, you've seen in photographs, and then you get there, and you discover there's an attic with a broken stairwell, and you climb up the attic with your cinematographer, and you're like, we have to shoot in this attic. They're like, but the floor's falling through, and everyone will die. But what if we fix the floor? And like, we have to move the scene that I wrote for the bedroom to the attic, and so you have to change some dialogue, you have to talk to the production designer, you have a new idea, a new idea. And so Ivana Gerardo had talked a lot about Bar Franco, which is where they met. They told me about the bar, and I actually wanted to go shoot it, but it was an old mansion that had collapsed. It was a 17th century mansion that no longer existed. So I was looking for this place that you had described, which was upstairs. No estaba arriba, ¿verdad?
Was upstairs.
And so I was looking for like an upstairs, and then of course you start abandoning what, it's not a documentary. And so I was just looking for the right space, the right tone. And we found that in Coyoacán. Actually, we shot that in Mexico City. And it felt like the kind of place that you would have met. And so, I was guided by what they had told me, and also just by cinema. There's a lot of locations in the movie. I think as a beginner, you write a movie and you don't realize how hard it's going to be to shoot it. And they're 10 and they're 25, and then so it was a much more layered and complex film to shoot than I guess I had imagined when I wrote it. But that was a nice surprise. That was an interesting. And so I had amazing location scouts, and the crews in Mexico, the grasp of cinema, the professionalism, the talent in that country. It's not like a coincidence that Guillermo del Toro and Cuarón, it's not like a coincidence that some of our best filmmakers in Hollywood come from Mexico. There's an incredible system of study. It's very, very serious. And so I really had so much luck to be able to take advantage of that pool of talent.
You move through time a lot, almost like sort of like nesting dolls of time. So when that decision come about to do it that way as opposed to like a straight linear narrative?
From the beginning, the film was a woven tapestry of memory, of flash forwards, flashbacks. Because the way that Ivana Gerardo, how many years, when's the last time you were in Mexico? ¿Qué año fue?
2000.
99.
2000.
2000. So a lot of years have passed, and
19.
so they're telling me something that they remember, but the memory might be hazy, and then it goes through me, and then it goes through the actors, and so you wanted to create this sense of like a sound would trigger a memory, would take him back to the past. So you're trying to create cinematically what memory feels like. So that was the trick. It was the trick with the look and with the feeling, was to recreate that, and that's what we attempted. So it was always conceived as multiple layers and eras that would overlap. And so that's what we set out to do. My incredible editor, Inat Sidi, she edited the film. She's a genius. She's a documentary editor. She's never done narrative either, so we were in it together. And she was extremely adept at that style of editing, and she wasn't afraid to take things, you know, out of a linear path. So that was also very helpful and important. Well, the film was at Sundance. It was acquired by Sony Pictures Classics. Then there was a pandemic, so it didn't come out in June or September. It's coming out January 8th, God willing. Ojalá, inshallah. And we hope. But the next time someone can actually see it, they could see it virtually at the Hamptons Film Festival. You can check the website. There's 3 opportunities to see it virtually. AFI, Mill Valley, there'll be several opportunities to see it. But theatrically, the date is 8 de enero, January 8th, and we're sticking to that.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.